Mithoon, Armaan, there are very few times, an interview actually turns into like a conversation or an interaction. I feel today is one of those days. I don't have any cue cards here. I don't have any, like nothing, no phone, no questions, because I just want to sit and talk to you guys. And I'll tell you why. Because before I came here, I got a chance to watch the song that you guys are about to release next week. Probably when the interview goes out, this is going to be already out there. I want to say it takes, when you say charity begins at home, it kind of takes a collaboration like this to happen if you all have experienced that back at home. I want to start off by asking the both of you, what was that one act of kindness or something which was very soft that you remember happened back in the day at home when you all were kids, probably?
I think for me, like the first memory I have of kindness is my dad, because my mom is a very strict person. She grew up in a boarding school, so it was really tough. I mean, I owe a lot to her for that, because I'm known for my discipline. It comes from her, but that time it was really difficult. I mean, I've got spankings for not polishing my shoes and those kind of things. So for me as a kid, that was cruelty.
Yeah,
It was
me
very
too.
difficult to deal with. But my dad was always the one who would cover up for me. He would say कि कोई बात नहीं, आज बारिश बहुत है, आज मत भेजो, school मत भेजो. So that was the first memory I had of what kindness exactly is, and it just grew from there further, and just went into more profound matters. But that's my dad is my epitome of kindness for me.
Yeah, because obviously वो जो जूते polish करना, nails file करना, all these things even I've been like really hammered for back in the day. So for my act of kindness also was with my dad when he used to be like, यार छोटी है जाने देते हैं, so I feel like
Same for me also.
yeah, even you went the same thing.
Yeah,
No,
exact
wait, but I don't
same.
know why you give me like a very studious vibe. You were studious or you were a very naughty child?
No, I was a very studious boy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do I have to
I
believe
give
this?
that vibe.
Right now, maybe, maybe.
I got what 93% in 10th, so I
Chalo,
guess I'm
chalte.
still
That
I'm
is,
wrapping this interview right now.
So
Ye
if that is
interaction
something
has
to go by,
gotten
then
too
I guess
real.
I'm studious. Yeah,
Okay.
I love studying. I mean, it was genuinely. I mean, if not music, I would definitely do a very high degree, and like I wanted to be a marine biologist first. Like that was what. Yeah. Then astronaut, and then ultimately I was like I want to be a chef. But then obviously music happened. But I still want to, open a restaurant. That's one of my dreams. So one of those professions that I thought I would do, वो फिर भी हो पाएगा in some way or the other.
But if I have to route you back, like something that you remember from like maybe your college or school days that that was like, oh, okay, this is what it actually means. And probably I would like to imbibe that kind of softness or kindness into my life moving on.
I think it was once when I would say that I was I was with a friend. I was out at dinner, and I think I was rude to the waiter serving the food. I think some mistake happened, and I kind of reacted, and I was corrected by my friend then, and I realized that I should be more kinder in these moments rather than reacting. I don't want to say that I'm not giving an example of a kind moment. I'm talking about a moment where I realized I needed to be kind. That was a very big catalyst for me, because I, for a moment, kind of like pulled out of the whole picture and looked at myself, and I was like, wait, did I really behave like that? Did I really shout like that? Did I really, was that person? From then till now, I've never had that episode. And I feel like it is an example of kindness because my friend taught me to be kind.
Yeah. And I think moments like these are so life-changing, which,
Yes.
eventually in the growing up process, like I'm 32 right now. So suddenly when I look back at the 22-year-old Hesha, I just feel like, pagal thi kya? What were you doing?
Yeah.
So that whole evolvement, for me personally, it's got a lot to do with meditation as well. Do the both of you guys meditate?
I do, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you don't?
I don't meditate.
Okay. What's your process of
I think
meditation
his
like?
whole day is meditation. The
He's
way
sitting
he
only
is.
like meditating
No,
right now.
he's not sitting like that. His whole house and the studio, I mean, I've been to the studio and the office. That has such a meditative vibe as soon as you enter. It's like you cannot not be in a meditative state. I think his whole day is meditative. Mine, I do need to take out some time in the day. It's usually the same time when I do my riyaz, my practice. And it's a very powerful time for me because I start my day on that note. And I also do meditate sometimes in between, takes, or like if I'm doing a recording. if I feel very stressed or anxious in the day, in the middle of the day, I do take out some time, 10 minutes, and just like listen to a nice chant or something that's just calming.
Yeah.
Just to get my, just to rewire my brain a little bit. So I rely on meditation as like a,
Like a
a
charging
pocket
thing.
therapist, I would say. I don't know if that's a word.
You just made one, though.
I
Also
just
makes
made
it
one.
sounds very intellectual. Pocket therapist.
Yeah, like because it calms me down, makes me think about why am I feeling anxious, and how I can actually overcome that feeling. So I feel like meditation is a very, very strong tool, and I've employed it in the last year only. This is the first time that I used to always be like, "Kaun aise baithega aise karke," I used to mock it.
Yeah.
Then I realized how important it was for me. It changed my life in the last year. So I become much more calmer. Not that I was angry first or like a hot-headed person. It just made me even more calmer. Like I'm a calm person. Today I just flow with things. होता है नहीं होता है ऐसे जोन में हूँ मैं. I've never been like that. I used to be like अरे नहीं हो रहा है.
Taking charge of things.
Yeah, like, and now I'm like, it's chill. It's very like, I don't know. I have attained some kind of like peace.
But do you think that's helped in your creative process?
100%. I think I'm kinder to myself on days where I, think कि I want to make a song and come up with a song and नहीं हो पाता है. So वो frustration होती है कभी-कभी to, creative people where it's like writer's block is what they say, sitting down. You can never sit down and think you'll create a song. It never happens. I mean, sometimes I'm in a plane and everyone's looking at me in a weird way because I'm on my voice note trying to record an idea that's running in my head because I heard a whirring of some plane machinery that gave me some note and it triggered something in me. I don't know. It just didn't that happen. I just want to document it, and everyone looks at me like पागल हो गया है क्या फोन लेके
But I think
बैठा
वो
हुआ
हर
है.
creative लोग का वो है हम
Correct.
कुछ भी करते हैं people think we're psycho.
Yeah.
But I think that's just the energy that we probably have which we want to articulate through our work. Mithoon, since you don't meditate, what is your creative process like? And that's my first part of the question. And what I want to know is then, if not that, then what brings this composure, or is it just because the cameras are here?
It's not that. It's for me. It's more being rooted in life. It's about as you said, my entire day is kind of meditation for me. It's about being very settled and very comfortable in who I am. I'm very content as a person. I'm very, very settled. I'm very happy with what I'm doing, with what I've done. I think all kinds of stress comes from unhappiness only. When you think that you aren't where you're supposed to be, or you aren't getting what you deserve.
Yeah.
I think those kind of thoughts is what unsettle you. But living in the moment is something will always calm you down. And what inspires me creatively is people. I'm very fascinated by people and their life. I can just look around. Like when I wrote Tum Hi Ho, I was single, and it's one of the biggest love songs we've ever had. But when Mohit Suri would come and describe to me, he would talk to me about his friends, about relationships, about what extent people have gone, and he would say that कुछ लोग ना शादी से पहले कुंडली दिखाते हैं और वो देखते कि मैच कर रहा है नहीं कर रहा, लेकिन ये एक ऐसा व्यक्ति है कि ये अब वो मैच करे नहीं करे कुछ भी हो जाए उसकी जिंदगी बस ये आरोही ही है. So I would get very fascinated by these stories of people. And today also I am very fascinated by these stories, and it just inspires me to write.
कभी ऐसा होता है that you feel like you've attained success and your songs are like on loop. मेरे को तो नहीं लगता मैंने एक ही बार आपका गाना सुना होगा और छोड़ दिया होगा. मतलब वो loop पे बजता ही रहेगा और आज भी बजेगा, But did it kind of like get to you at some point where you felt like, okay, now this is hitting me and I need to rewire myself and probably get rooted again? Or you feel like you kind of made peace with, success, fame, this whole industry in general?
It happened to me a little early in my career, because when I started off, I did my first film at 19. When they added Zahar, I was 19. When I was 20, I did Anwar, which was Maula Mere Maula, and Tose Na Lage. When I was 21, I did The Train. So those first 3 years of my life, and I was still in college when Wo Lamhe's promo started. So I wasn't really professionally kind of, in that template of being a professional. So शुरुआत में वो जब हुआ, I started to get into that zone that it was all happening too soon. So I couldn't compartmentalize my energies as a professional. And that's why after Train, then I took a sabbatical before I came back with Murder 2. I felt that, okay, this is a responsibility. It's not, it was ऐसे नहीं हो गया. I have to be responsible of dealing with my own energies and my creativity.
Yeah.
And then after Murder 2, then it's been a smooth ride.
What about you? Like, do you feel that, you know, the whole, in your case, I would rather say the competition and the peer pressure that kind of, you know, just somewhere down the line comes and just eats you up. Do you feel that? Or are you somebody who can like just shield yourself? Meditation में करते हैं ना, white light energy, block कर लो सब कुछ. Is that even how you deal with when it comes to work situations or any pressures outside?
I don't think the thing is, I'm very, very happy in my own like bubble and ecosystem. I've made a schedule for my day. I'm very, very consumed in that schedule, and so it's not other people's journeys and what they're achieving and what is happening. Obviously, I follow a bunch of people on social media. I've also considered unfollowing everyone and making it zero so that I'm not in tune with people, what they're doing. It does take a toll when you're scrolling on social media, you watch videos and all, which is why I have hours when I'm on social media and cut off hours as well.
Thanks to our phones, na, they tell you हो गया अभी time.
नहीं वो नहीं अभी now consciously वो मैं daily limit always not now करके फिर भी use करता था.
Guilty. Charged
So
guilty.
that's not helped me that much. But I think I'm just very, very happy in who I am, how I am as a person. Just the way Mithoon sir said that content, being content with yourself is a very, very tough thing to do, especially in an industry where there's so many people doing so many things, and then you feel like, oh, this one's racing ahead, or ye ho raha hai, wo ho raha hai. When you realize your journey is very different from everyone else, what's supposed to happen to you and the kind of stuff that's supposed to happen for you is only supposed to happen for you. And once you believe that and you claim it, there's nothing that can shake you. I feel, at least. I feel like to an extent, he has mastered that. I'm 80% there. I'm still learning as I go, but like I learn a lot from the way he is. I've learned from him to not kind of, lose focus in terms of what we want to do. Sometimes we are doing certain things because we are like, oh, I want to do it like that person or do that something like that's not needed. What is your journey? What do you gravitate toward? What gives you the most joy? Like for him, when he sits in his studio and sits and composes a song, I guess that is the purest moment for him in terms of joy. That's the same thing for me when I'm singing a song, whether it's in the studio or I'm singing it live on stage. On stage, I feel like I'm transported to another world. For me, I wish I was just on stage for all my life.
Wow.
I mean, that's just even on stage when there are so many people in front of me. I recently did a very, very massive show of 37,000 people in front of me. But I just have this bubble I've created around me and on my stage. When I do my performances, I forget there are people. I'm singing just alone for myself. Genuinely, I have some blockout energy, not because I want to block out any negative energy or anything like that. It's
focus?
Not that.
Would you call that focus?
No, it's just, I would say I don't want to call it selfish, but I'm consumed in my own self. And I'm happy in that realm of Armaan universe that I've created. I'm very happy in that.
Yeah.
And like nothing shakes me from it. Like the way no one can make me do anything I don't want to do. I just can't get myself to do it.
I think you also said that, right? In the previous interview, I was overhearing a bit of it. I think मैं नहीं करूँगा अगर मुझे नहीं करना.
And ऐसा नहीं है कि यार नहीं मैं नहीं कर रहा हूँ. वैसा vibe नहीं है.
हाँ.
मैं नहीं कर सकता. I can't. It's not me.
Yeah.
That is the vibe that I think even declining has to be done in a polite way. And you have to respect that then other person has come with a certain project or whatever it is, and maybe he is intentioned that he wants you on it or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you are not feeling it, I feel like it's better to express it then and there to anyone and not keep, and rather than doing something that you're not proud of or not happy doing. Like I want to 50 years hence I want to just sit down and open my discography and be like, yeah, I'm so proud of all the stuff I've done. If I've not done that, then what have I done in my music? So I'm very happy with where I am and who I am right now, and I want to continue being like this.
COVID changed a lot for everyone.
Very similar.
That's a good thing, actually. Because, when you're collaborating, which is also the next thing which I'm
I
going to
wouldn't
ask.
collaborate with someone I can't
you can't
vibe
with.
with for
Yeah.
sure, 100%.
Like it's very difficult otherwise then you're just like
You're
okay
forcing
you're
the
only
collab.
fighting and you're only like, and you know, while I understand this whole creative argument and discussions and all are healthy, but to a limit. I feel everything has to have a line.
No, we had disagreements on many things.
Which is
I
which is
wanted
fine.
to do a lot more like jagaएं or like some things of my own, which I think till an extent he let it be, some he changed. So that always happens. That creative exchange is important because sometimes I might magically do something that he loves, which came from within me, which he may not have asked.
Yeah.
And that if we have to give that to each other, like let that happen, that process happen where everything comes together. Then whatever doesn't fit, we remove those pieces out of the puzzle.
So what I was coming to was that COVID actually changed a lot of mindsets also in general. I feel the whole chat about mental health and giving it back to the society and you know what kind of goes around comes around, all of that started happening or became rather more vocal even like online post COVID when people
Because
saw
if
that
everyone
shift
thought life is ending.
ending. Yeah. Sabko suddenly realize okay, oh, now we're saints, okay? But I think the flip side and the nicer side to that is that a lot of things did go in the positive direction.
Yeah.
I want to ask you I'll tell you why. When the both of you came together, for me it was like kuch romantic song hoga shayad, you know. That could be that collaboration. But chalo, love hai is the angle. Love can be in different forms. But the whole crux is different. Obviously, once people watch the song, they'll understand.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you what provoked or rather what got you the thought to like come up with this particular song? When you wrote it specifically and then had Armaan on board?
For me, it was the basic thought. So, Mr. Bhushan Kumar was very keen to do a song on this thought. You know, with me, he always discusses literature and poetry and Sufi poetry and poetry, which is very, very deeply associated to Indian culture. And we came across a few thoughts. Actually, he did, and he asked me ki why shouldn't we adapt something like this from ancient Indian literature. And then I spent some time on it honestly, लेकिन बाद में I wasn't inspired. तो फिर मैंने उनको बोला कि why not we do something original? And he was very open to it. And then I went back on my piano and I spent some time and then I got a melody on the thought, which is the song right now. And initially it wasn't about me creating a song. It wasn't about me singing it, who's going to sing it. It's about getting what the melody is. That's how I always work. Today also people come to me telling me कि आप इससे क्यों गवाते हो या इसको गवाओ. People have their own fan bases and they reach out to me, which is very sweet in its own way. But I always say कि मैं कभी भी गायक को नहीं चुनता. गाना जो है गायक को चुन लेता है. It is the tune and the singer, they just merge very, very naturally. तो यहाँ पर भी होता है. Initially, I just wanted to get the basic melody and the basic thought in a very beautiful way. And once I got that, the first name which came into my mind to sing the melody was Armaan Malik. You know, there's a certain, he's very surreal about the way he conveys his expression in his music. It's not up there. At the same time, it goes a very deep, you know, a very deep lane. So then Bhushanji and me spoke and we both were very convinced that this has to be Armaan. And then he said, ki, let's make it like a proper collab because that's what the song is also saying. It speaks of harmony and people coming together and standing up for each other. And then we gave it a bigger thought. We spent time. I sent him the melody. We jammed on it. And at no point there were any proposals or any plans on paper. जैसे आपका ये interview है, there's no structure to it, right? उसी तरह हम लोग मिले. पहले meeting में तो recording भी नहीं की. खाली हम लोग we just spoke about life. We caught up because we have familiar like family history as well. His father has learned from my grandfather.
Oh.
I shared the picture with him also of my grandfather teaching his father on a piano, and we have this kind of a bonding, and we gradually just took it one step further, and we are each sitting over here right now.
Tell me something, you know, when this industry obviously can get a little bit consuming, you know, in its own way. Well, there are a lot of perks, ups, you know, successes, etc., etc. When it comes to that point where you all feel that, okay, I'm kind of consumed or I'm getting consumed in this whole mess. At that moment, what is that one thing that you do to sort of snap out of it?
I travel. I don't know. I mean,
is that your fixation? Like to cut off travel?
It helps
chill?
me. I mean, whenever I'm in Bombay, na, I feel very claustrophobic. Not because of just the pollution.
वो तो metro, नीचे traffic, rickshaw, this, that.
We're just consumed by work 360 degrees in especially in Bombay. maybe it's not a Bombay thing, maybe it's a me thing. But I just, even if it's like a 3-hour drive to a Lonavala or like any outskirt place outside of the city,
You'll bounce.
I just bounce, and it gives me some clarity. And when I come back, I'm much more happier, and then I have a clear idea कि ये करना है, ये नहीं करना है, whatever it is. And there was a time in 2017, 2018, उस phase में, where I was very unhappy with how I was being treated in the industry as a singer, and being replaced in songs, and for not reasons that were very clear. If it was on my singing, I was like, हाँ ठीक है, मेरे को बता दो if I've not sung it well. I'll
Yeah.
better my singing and come back next time. But those, people, when they replace also, they don't tell you they're replacing. I love honestly, listen, Armaan जा रहा नहीं है गाना. I was like, हाँ ठीक है, no problem, we'll do another song. But the fact that I used to wake up and then hear it in another person's voice, and certain things I had done, and the same things were done by the other singer, not the other singer's fault. It's just a blueprint that the composer forwards to another singer, which is fine. But it happened too often for me at one point, where I was like, I want to get away from this
Yeah.
stuff, and like I don't think I'm getting polluted with negative thoughts. Ki, maybe I am not as good enough, or I'm not singing well enough, or maybe
Self-doubt, I
yeah, where actually I'm the most I have so much confidence about myself, about my singing. I'm just that kind of a person, and for me to be in that spot, I couldn't take it. So I was like, listen, I'm packing a bag, I'm traveling, and it just set my mind free, because I was doing nothing related to music. I was just traveling. I was going to parks, watching ducks, feeding them, whatever it was. I was just trying to be in nature, trying to be in in God's wonderful world that we kind of like miss out on in this whole race of going crazy, trying to earn money, make a name, become successful.
Yeah.
This year, especially in the last 2 years, I've just realized like life is so much more than just work.
Yeah.
And like we've killed ourselves beyond a point to kind of reach somewhere. And even if you don't do, it doesn't matter. What's written for you is going to happen for you.
True.
At least that's what I believe.
And also your work will like speak itself.
Your
ना,
work-
but over दिखाने की जरूरत नहीं है,
दिखाने की
you know?
जरूरत नहीं.
Yeah.
You believe in your talent, you've done your work, leave it at that. I think that's where I got that feeling in like around 2018. And then it pivoted me to a very different space. I started realizing, what did actually Armaan start out doing music for? And I answered some of these questions, and I started making English pop music, because that's something that I love doing as a kid. But then during the whole becoming a singer, the playback scene happened. I'm a playback singer, but I'm not entirely happy being a playback singer. I can be very honest with all my listeners, and
Yeah.
I know everyone who knows Armaan Malik knows because of the Bollywood songs, but my soul wasn't nourished, my soul was not happy. When I released that first English song, I felt reborn, very, very honestly. I felt like I'm starting my career all over again. That's the feeling I had. So
Lovely.
you need to find these moments, and I feel like the moment you separate yourself from what's happening, go for a bit outside, in like how do you say, you see it from a lens,
Yeah, like a third bird eye perspective.
yeah, I think
you
that's what
detach
happens.
yourself.
That's
Yeah.
what happens with me when I travel. So
What about you? What's your detach mechanism from all of the clutter?
I think.
Or you're not attached only.
Yeah, that's actually one way of describing my life. But yeah, traveling does make a big difference. I think it's very, very therapeutic in nature. And even if I'm not traveling, I just try and come out of that seat of being Mithun, where I carry all these responsibilities or all these expectations of people. I try and do, like I'll just maybe go out for a drive and try and do things where I just get out of that seat, and go have a chat, maybe with the chai ka tapri wala down the building, talk to him. People who really don't care about who I am or what I do.
yeah,
These things really work for us artists. I think they really help us
100% ground us.
a lot.
Yeah. I think I was just going to pick from there only and say it's so important to have friends who are not from the industry. Like when you go back home, your parents will treat you exactly like how they've treated you,
Like I
probably
want-
like you want to be treated
I want a friend who
also.
will put tapli on my head,
Yeah.
and will not be scared to do so just because I am someone.
Yeah.
I want us to be mischievous with each other. I want that vibe, and that can only happen when you surround yourself with people who don't think of you as anyone but just their chuddy buddy or your friend
Yeah.
or whatever it is. It normalizes you, because there's a lot of stuff that goes, like so many people ask me, I mean, what is it like going on like concert and like there are people screaming, shouting for you, wanting to get a picture with you. I'm like, I separate the Armaan Malik on stage and Armaan Malik the person. They're two different people, and that I think has been happening since bachpan, because my dad put that into my head. Ki yaar, don't believe you're Armaan for even a second. You're not what we're doing. What you're doing is not you. What you are is you. So that small tweak bachpan mein hi happened for me. So because I started, professionally singing at the age of 8, and ever since then I've seen the whole growth as like a child singer, teenage singer, then doing playback for bigger actors. I just saw a full transformation as like, and I I was just head first into this whole sea of people, going crazy for me. Your mind can go berserk. It can. It can. It didn't, because I feel like I have very, very, parents who really grounded me. Mithoons always says that you're surrounded by the best team around you, mom and dad, because they've
I'm
always...
personally very fond of Dabu ji and Jyoti ji. I think they're very, I've known them personally for a while, and I think they're one of the biggest pillars in his life. So,
What is that driving force in your career that you would, other than yourself, credit as your support, as your pillar?
I think my father was very, very important in helping me. Like, I was never confused. Like, Armaan he wanted to be a marine biologist. I just got
Yeah.
clear.
Now open a restaurant also very soon.
So I didn't go through that journey. मैं बहुत छोटा सा था. I was around 10 or 11 and I was like, मुझे music ही करना है. Film music का जो है, वो मैंने I decided at 16. उसके पहले I wanted to be a concert pianist. I wanted to tour the world by playing Western classical music.
Like Yanni.
I think that also would have been amazing only. But is there a moment particularly in your career that you're super proud of? And आप खाली नहीं पड़ोगे अपने आप को उस चीज के लिए, like that shabashi or that compliment to give yourself, because people are really bad self-acclaiming and telling like good job. वो दिखाते हैं therapists, I've been going through counseling as well, and they're like, tell yourself, you're doing a good job, and I'm like, how? Like, so anything for you like that?
There are multiple highs. लेकिन like my Ashiki 2 Filmfare Award, it was a very spiritual moment for me, because my father was the music arranger in Ashiki 1.
Oh.
And for him, and back then music producers or arrangers would not get that kind of credit, right? So for me to go on that stage, my dad would always, my parents would always watch these award shows on TV. They would, back then even arrangers would not even be invited. So they would watch it on TV, and they would be happy. My parents are very grounded people, like most Indian parents are.
Yeah.
लेकिन for me to be there in that environment that my parents जो बचपन से देखते आ रहे हैं, and to go on stage and tell my dad that I'm taking this for you, it felt good. I can't lie about that. It felt very fulfilled for me and for my family.
Now, what also happens is when you're coming up with something, there's promotions, there's social media, there's all of this. And I know you guys have been doing back-to-back interviews and promotions, and I can see the team also telling me to wrap up soon. However, what I want to ask is, do you guys find this more daunting, or do you all feel like कि बिना social media के भी ठीक ही था सब कुछ? Like, what's your take on that, respectively?
I mean, to be honest, I would be lying if I said social media, is not, advantageous in a way, I would say, especially in terms of promoting music, in terms of reaching out to a wider audience. Today, I know that I have listeners in countries that I would never imagine myself being heard in,
If not for like social media.
If not for social media, if not for these platforms where you get data, like I have listeners in Philippines. I never imagined I'd have listeners in Philippines, for my English songs or for stuff that I put out. So it's I feel in a way it's about how you consume social media that makes the whole difference. We kind of like had a non-social media world, because I'm a 95 born person.
91, so even before that.
So I mean, we didn't have phones, then we had phones, then phones started getting interesting with messaging. Then we got, this whole social media world that happened. Ek time mein MSN Messenger
then we had BBMs also.
Yeah,
your BlackBerry
BBMs.
phones and all of that. Oh God, but those status likhte, new song out.
Yeah.
If we were still in that era.
I remember. So that whole, that whole phase has happened. So we've kind of like understood where social media has come from and what it's going to do. There are people or like kids who are born into this whole social media world like from day one.
Yeah.
So for them, there's no other world. For me, I would be like, okay, I'm okay without it also. But I can't, I don't think people who are, probably born in the 2000s or,
Would be okay.
Gen Z, I guess, would ever relate to that feeling. Yeah, no, they'll have anxiousness if they realize there's no social media.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I've obviously built up a following in social media, so I have this like, oh, I have these many million followers and whatever. And tomorrow, if imagine like zap करके सब खत्म हो गया, ऐसा नहीं कि मेरा म्यूजिक गया या सिंगिंग गया, एक मोमेंट के लिए मुझे कभी वैसा लगेगा नहीं. But there are people who built their whole life on social media today. So for them, that whole identity of them also goes with that.
I'm just going to say that only. My editor and I always have this conversation. I actually started my career as a blogger and not doing what I'm doing right now, and eventually transitioned into doing this only to realize that what if everything just goes away one day?
It can.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I feel like, which is why people encourage you to pick up a skill when you're young.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, social media is a different game altogether. But today, suppose you say social media is no more there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to feel alone. My music is still there with me. My voice is still there with me. I will still be able to travel to a place, perform for fans. Obviously, yes, the music reached out because of social media. But it also reached out when there was no social media also.
Correct.
It's not that it didn't.
Yeah.
There were various mediums that it, at one point there was radio, there was TV.
Absolutely.
Uske pehle, people used to go to music shops to get CDs and LPs. So there's always been some way to access music. So I don't think it's ever going to make me feel any type of way if it's not there. But yeah, I do feel it's a great tool. It's advantageous. It's just how you use it and how you consume it that makes the difference.
And what about you? How do you go about with not just social media in general, but also when it comes to like promoting your song or like going through the other parts of after the creative process is done?
You're exhausted now.
Yeah.
But it's important. I mean, it's very necessary for people to know from where are we coming, what are we doing, and a lot of fans are there are waiting to know, one thought behind every line.
Yeah.
So we definitely owe it to them. As far as social media is concerned, I feel that I think it's a great tool. I just feel it can't be a replacement to real life, which is happening today. Social media is becoming life.
Yeah.
I don't think it can ever replace life, and that's a warning for all of us, I feel. That's the way I see it. Yeah.
I'm scared about that. Like, that people believing their virtual life is life and real life is not.
It's not. And with like chat GPT and AI
AI
and bots,
coming
I'm
in,
like humans are getting replaced and like,
there are proper
companies and
songs
jobs.
being made on like AI.
Yeah, on AI. Yeah, look at his face. This is like, please.
Like today, you can make a song in my voice.
Achha.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be singing it.
It's
Okay.
for us, it's like a person can lose their job because you don't need a content writer. You don't need a person who can come up with concepts or questions or for interviews, etc. So that's how crazy it is. Lastly, I just want to ask you, I can see you. The whole theme also of your song is pretty much in terms of what you give out and then how it comes back to you positively. Big or small, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I want to ask you all personally in your lives, any particular such moment where you felt that, this is what you did, good or bad, and it came back to you. Hopefully something really positive that I would love to hear.
I have to think about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, please think. Any in terms of like an act or a gesture that you all must have probably done and without thinking कि इसका कुछ फायदा हो सकता है and then just surprised you.
I think it's difficult to maybe right now recollect a
Pinpoint,
specific
yeah.
act. But what I feel is that I think आप जब कुछ अच्छा करते हो, right, you create an energy around yourself only. I think it just stays with you. जैसे बोलते हैं ना कि गुलाब देने वाले हाथों में उसकी खुशबू हमेशा रह जाती है. So I think the way we were talking earlier.
ये सब दो ना, ये सब चीजें जो आप बोलते रहते हो, एक बुक दो ना. मतलब
Both of us just looked at each other and we were like,
मतलब today he has said at least 20 or 22 such expressions. I'm like, where is all this? Why am I not reading?
And
all
Armaan's
these
thinking, where is my
things?
phone? मैं record क्यों नहीं कर रहा अभी इसको?
But
yeah.
I mean, वही है. I mean, like the way I see Armaan also, the way he treats, the way he deals with his people, his team, how he deals with his fans. I think, for example, he clicked a couple of pictures today with a few guys who wanted a picture. I think that gesture I think he'll carry it to his house now. It's not only they who are blessed, but I think that positivity, it will enrich his house also. It will make his evening sweeter. So I think it's everything is give and take, and we are just surrounded by these energies that we do.
Yeah. You know, you don't meditate and all, but you sound very spiritual. Like, are you following some guru or something, or this is just your being? Because, you know, if anything, he can become a talker, I feel like. I can listen to you throughout.
I am a student of the Bible. I preach and I follow the Bible. So
Oh, that's why
yes.
your
So
crux
Christ is
sorted over there.
he's the hero for me. I try and follow him.
Great. Thank you so very much for removing
you.
time amongst your crazy, crazy schedule. I'm glad we could chat. I know I've taken a little longer, but this was great. So all the very best for the song. For those who haven't watched it, please go check it out. I'm sure it's going to be out by the time this interview goes out. So thank you and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you so
you.
much.